Good afternoon, everyone. Looking back over the past 5 years, 2013 stands out as the year that Concordia transitioned from being just an annual summit to a full organization focused on promoting public-private partnerships. That's because in 2013, we created the Concordia Research Department, and with it, our flagship product, the Concordia Partnership Index. The Concordia Index ranks countries based on their readiness and their need to engage in public-private partnerships. It's meant to be a tool for governments, businesses, and nonprofits to assess countries' relative partnership environments. The 2015 index ranks 59 countries that were selected to represent a diversity of regime types, income levels, and geographies. So let's take a look at this year's ranking. Most notably, Chile is ranked first for a third straight year. It's joined in the top 5 by Qatar, Malaysia, Peru, and South Korea. With enabling political and market structures and moderate levels of infrastructure deficit, Chile is a country that is ripe for P3 engagement. So what do these rankings really mean? That top-ranked countries are the perfect P3 environments? No. And to see why, let's take a closer look at the top 10. As you can see, the index rankings don't correlate with income levels. They don't correlate with geographies or other large groupings. In fact, the top 10 include high-income South Korea and low-income Nepal. And the reason for this seemingly surprising grouping is the index's unique theoretical framework. The index recognizes that while for any investment to be successful really depends on a country's political and market structures, for a public-private partnership to have a true impact, it must address a large-scale need. Therefore, the Concordia Index incorporates both readiness, as defined by enabling political and market structures, and need into its overall score. Therefore, when an investor is determining which partnership environment to engage in, he or she should really look beyond the overall score and into each country's individual readiness and need scores. High readiness scores are associated with lower risk. And high need scores are associated with greater potential for large-scale impact. And this means that an overall score really represents some combination of risk and reward. So let's take a look at where our 2015 countries fall along these axes of readiness and need. You can see there's a clear inverse relationship between readiness and need. Countries that rank high in readiness tend to rank low in need, and countries that rank high in need tend to rank lower in readiness. And this makes sense, because countries with enabling political and market structures attract the investment that then can be used to address infrastructure gaps and lower future need. Now I want to take a look at 2 countries to really see how the index works in action. Let's consider the 5th and 6th ranked countries, South Korea and Nigeria. In the overall score, they're separated by only 1.25 points. But by looking at them and their locations on the scatter plot, we see a very different story. South Korea ranks much higher in readiness and lower in need than Nigeria, which indicates while it might be less risky to engage in partnership in South Korea, there also may not have as great of an impact. Nigeria, in exchange for this potential greater return, has a riskier investment environment. So what this means is, when you're deciding where to engage in a partnership environment, you need to look not only at the numerical ranking, but you also need to consider your risk appetite. And on the Concordia Index website, an investor can actually go and adjust the weights so that the overall score better reflects their own risk appetite. Let's say an investor has a greater risk appetite, and they choose to weight the infrastructure gaps a little more heavily. You can look at how the country rankings change. Now Tanzania, rather than Chile, is ranked number 1. So now that we've seen a little bit about how investors and the private sector may use the index, let's turn to governments and how it's a valuable tool for governments as well. Governments can use the index to assess their partnership environments and evaluate them against other countries. So let's say I work for the government of Peru. Using the index, I can see that while I have greater need than fellow Latin American country Chile, I also have lower readiness. And if I had higher readiness, I would be in a better position to attract investment to then meet those infrastructure deficits. By using the index, I can see that if Chile were to reduce its expropriation risk to that of, if Peru were to reduce its expropriation risk to that of Chile, its readiness would go from 24th to 16th place, and its overall score would go from 4th to 2nd place. And if Peru were to reduce its perception of corruption to the level of Chile, it would find its readiness again decrease, go up to 16th place, and its overall score now moves into 1st place. With this information, Peru can now make informed policy decisions that can make its partnership environment all the more appealing. So while Concordia hopes that we created a tool that is useful for you, we've been led by our task force for several years now who have really been invaluable to its development. We really need your support and your insight. Over the next year, we'll be looking to make the index even more valuable. Whether it's through the inclusion of survey data or interview data, or the addition of case studies or advisory services, we want to hear how we can make your partnership decisions easier and more fruitful. And to really kick off this new stage of development, we'll be hosting a special summit lunch tomorrow. You'll have the chance to meet with the task force, discuss how you make partnership decisions, how you wish you made partnership decisions, and how we can create a tool to help you get there. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing some of you at lunch tomorrow.